What I am about to share with you is one of the oldest known versions of Genesis. Would you like to know the origins of the gods, the Bible, religion, life as you know it? How did we get here? What is our real history? Or maybe what is our real history is actually a better question to ask because we don't really know. One thing that I do find fascinating is this ancient cuneiform tablet that has been translated via several scholars, not just from Oxford University, but other locations. And I'm going to read to you the Oxford translation here in just a moment. You can see from the British Museum the actual tablet that is thousands of years older than the Hebrew version of Genesis or the Greek version of Genesis or the King James version of Genesis. The authorized version, that is. It's got to be authorized. It's got to be authorized. But I digress. I divagate. Enki. What does Enki mean? Well, that's Lord of the Earth. And what does Ninmah mean? Well, that's the mother goddess of earth and fertility. That's Enki's wife. And Enki and Ninmah is an absolutely fascinating Genesis story. And I feel that after reading this several times, each time I read it, I get a whole new perception and perspective towards Enki and Ninmah, at least what Enki was like at a certain point. Now, whether or not Enki was taken over by the Archon interface, the serpent Archons that Thoth discusses, Thoth, in the Emerald Tablets, Tablet 8 specifically, that hide in the shadows, that come out during blood rituals and sacrifices and work through men that are put in high places and high councils. What does that sound like? Well, you can see the credits. I'm going to read Enki and Ninmah to you. Here we go. In those days, in the days when heaven and earth were created, in those nights, in the nights when heaven and earth were created, in those years, in the years when the fates were determined, when the Annunaki were born, when the goddesses were taken in marriage, when the goddesses were distributed in heaven and earth, when the goddesses became pregnant and gave birth, when the gods were obliged, their food, dining halls, the senior gods oversaw the work, while the minor gods were bearing the toil. The gods were digging the canals and piling up the silt in Harali. The gods, crushing the clay, began complaining about this life. Now let's take a time out for a second. I looked up Harali, and that could be somewhere in Iran, the mountains in Iran. If somebody has some better information on that, I would appreciate it. It sounds to me like they were doing this work, mining something specifically. And notice how there's different levels of gods. So when we think of gods, we're thinking of either the divine source, the divine spark. We're thinking of the Old Testament God, the New Testament God, various god forms, demigods, etc. Sometimes capital G, sometimes lower G, sometimes X-Men capabilities. But the gods, depending on what terminology, I look at more as a label of authority oftentimes. Not always, but in this specific paragraph I do, because of the way that it describes the different levels of the gods. And let's go to the next chapter. So the gods, crushing the clay, began complaining about this life. At that time, the one of great wisdom, the creator of all the senior gods, Enki, lay on his bed, not waking up from his sleep, in the deep Engur. In the subterranean water, the place, the inside of which no other god knows, the gods said, weeping, he is the cause of this lamenting. Nama, the primeval mother, who gave birth to the senior gods, took the tears of the gods to the one who lay sleeping, to the one who did not wake up from his bed, to her son. Are you really lying there asleep and not awake? The gods, your creatures, are smashing there. My son, wake up from your bed. Please apply the skill deriving from your wisdom and create a substitute for the gods so that they can be freed from their toil. Now let's take a time out for a minute. Do you remember how recently I said that I feel the Abzu is it's like a water world? It's a civilization in the ocean south of Iraq. the Persian Gulf out there? Check this out. What does this say right here? Not waking up from his sleep, Enki that is. Enki is, let me go back specifically. Enki lay on his bed, not waking up from his sleep, in the deep Engur, in the subterranean water, the place the inside of which no other god knows. In the subterranean water. Bingo. All right, so now let's go to the next chapter. I didn't mean to toot my own horn there, but just for a second. Neener, 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 neener. At the word of his mother, Ninmah, or Nama, Enki rose up from his bed. In Halankug, his room for pondering, he slapped his thigh in annoyance. The wise and intelligent one, the prudent of skills, the fastener of the design of everything brought to life, birth goddesses. Enki reached out his arm over them and turned his attention to them. And after Enki, the fastener of designs, by himself, had pondered the matter, he said to his mother, Nama, my mother, the creature you planned will really come into existence. Impose on him the work of carrying baskets. You should need clay from the top of the Abzu. Above the water, you guys. The birth goddesses will nip off the clay, and you shall bring the form into existence. Let Ninmah act as your assistant, and let Ninmah, Suziana, Ninmada, Ninbarag, Ninmug, and Ninguna stand by as you give birth. My mother, after you have decreed his fate, let Ninmah impose on him the work of carrying baskets. She placed it on grass and purified the birth. Enki brought joy to their heart. He set a feast for his mother, Nama, and for Ninmah. All the princely birth goddesses ate delicate reed and bread. On Enlil and Lord Nunamid roasted holy kids. All the senior gods praised him, O Lord of wide understanding, who is as wise as you. Enki, the great Lord, who can equal your actions? Like a corporal father, you are the one who has the me of deciding destinies. In fact, you are the me. Okay, so if I remember right, okay, I've got a copy of Zechariah Sitchin's book. I'm going to take a time out here, you guys. Sitchin was talking about the me. And the me, here it is. Bingo, page 136, the 12th planet, the Nephilim, people of the fiery rockets. You have lifted the me, you have tied the me to your hands, you have gathered the me, you have attached the me to your breast. O queen of all the me, O radiant light, who with her hand grasps the seven me. Now this is in reference to the text quoted as Enlil talking to Inanna, because Inanna wanted to go to the netherworld, and she wanted to partake in the journey. So here's another quote. The scholars refer to the me as divine power objects. Literally, the term stems from the concept of swimming in celestial waters. Inanna described them as parts of the celestial garment that she put on for her journeys in the boat of heaven. The me were thus parts of the special gear worn by flying in earth's skies as well as into outer space. Now, that's his interpretation. And he could be right. He's a lot more intelligent than myself. I'm a conspiracy theorist. And okay, so let's go back here. Like a corporal father, you are the one who has the me of deciding destinies. In fact, you are the me. So Enki, that's like saying if me is some type of space travel or a spacesuit, I don't think that Enki's a spacesuit. Maybe this is the DNA. Maybe this is what has... Bingo. Okay, this is my interpretation right here, you guys. The me, from this text, and from that little power pack that you see in the Sumerian tablets that they carry around, that is the manipulation. That is the DNA. That is the code that is in everybody. Everybody has a certain amount of code from specific entities. DNA. Yes, that's right. Code, DNA, same thing. That's why you see various gods, demigods, powerful entities, humans, and virtually everything, whether it has power or not, intertwined in serpents. And oftentimes, more so the gods and the higher powers and these incredible carvings of antiquity, you definitely see the snakes, the serpents, the me, the may, the DNA, the code, that they can activate at any time, see through your eyes, hear through your ears, smell through your nose, not through your nose literally, but pick up your senses via code and live through it vicariously. How about that? The epitome of voyeuristic right there. We are their experiment. You get into these 6 levels that I shared with you guys earlier today. The God realm, the demigod realm, the human realm. Right there, the nexus, the central point. Beneath that, the animal realm, then the wandering ghost realm, then the hell realm. All connected to your consciousness. I've experienced the animal realm, hello, the element realm, and also the felt like the hell realm. Now, was it? I don't know. But have you ever transferred your consciousness and been able to focus so much, a bird flying next to you, that you could actually see through its eyes with your imagination? Franz Barden talks about that kind of stuff. Do humans have animalistic instincts? Absolutely. Some of them more than others. And the interesting thing is also when you get to the elemental level, when I had that shamanic experience that I thought was like hell, it could have been the elemental level as well. Think about being stuck in a rock, the consciousness of a rock, for 1 billion years, 5 billion years. Oh my goodness. Could you imagine that? And just having to live out that energy for that period of time. How would that change your consciousness? So, let's go back. Also, I wanted to talk about recently I was looking at the Franz Barden book. I opened it twice, and each time it was how to create elementals, and it discusses how to literally create energy forms into a more physical vibrational level to work for you, to do what you ask them to do. But you have to be very careful when you create them. And it also talks about how to create them with specific wax combos. Yeah. And this is advanced stuff right here. The demigods, imagine them coming into this level to just live out their, to do things that are exciting to them. And the demigods that are referred to in the level that is vertical or above the human level in some aspects anyway, it talks about how these demigods have very jealous instincts. They're very soap opera type is the nicest way to put it. And it's amazing when you compare that to the Annunaki from the Sumerian tablets, the parallels, the abilities they have, yet some of the, what you would consider human. You hear the term, I'm only human. I'm only human. I'm only human. I am never wanting to use that term again. I'm only human. Think about how much that limits you. Oh, you're only human. Really? Go say that to a gerbil. Go say that to a snail. Or a piece of moss. Or a rock. Or a deer. Or a donkey. Donkey? Hello. Or a stallion. All right, I'm getting cheesy. I get it. But you know my point. So, You're human. That's awesome. Embrace it. The humans have the ability to go to the highest levels of godhood, or virtually close to the highest levels, as well as into the very dark depths of dense vibrational archetypes, archons. All right. So, there we go. At the word of his mother, Nama, Enki rose up from his bed in Hal An Kug, his room for pondering. He slapped his thigh in annoyance. The wise and intelligent one, the prudent of skills, the fastener of the design of everything, brought to life birth goddesses. Enki reached out his arm over them and turned his attention to them. And after Enki, the fashioner of designs, by himself had pondered the matter, he said to his mother, Nama, my mother, the creature you planned will really come into existence. Impose on him the work of carrying baskets. You should knead clay from the top of the Abzu. The birth goddesses will nip off the clay, and you shall bring the form into existence. Let Ninmah act as your assistant, and let Ninmah, Suziana, Ninmada, Ninbrag, Ninmug, and Ninguna stand by as you give birth. Nanu, Nanu. My mother, after you've decreed his fate, let Ninmah impose on him the work of carrying baskets. She placed it on grass and purified the birth. Enki brought joy to their heart. He set a feast for his mother, Nama, and for Ninmah. All the princely birth goddesses ate delicate reed and bread. And Enlil and Lord Nunamid roasted holy kids. All the senior gods praised him, O Lord of wide understanding, who is as wise as you. Enki, the great Lord, who can equal your actions. Like a corporal father, you are the one who has the me of deciding destinies. In fact, you are the me. Maybe he's the space traveler. Maybe that's what it means. Enki and Ninmah drank beer. Their hearts became elated. And then Ninmah said to Enki, man's body can be either good or bad, and whether I make a fate good or bad depends on my will. Enki answered Ninmah, I will counterbalance whatever fate, good or bad, you happen to decide. Ninmah took clay from the top of the Abzu in her hand, and she fashioned from it first a man who could not bend his outstretched weak hands. Enki looked at the man who cannot bend his outstretched weak hands, and decreed his fate. He appointed him as a servant of the king. Second, she fashioned one who turned back the light, a man with constantly opened eyes. Enki looked at the who turned back the light, the man who constantly opened eyes, and decreed his fate, allotting to it the musical arts, making him as the chief in the king's presence. Third, she fashioned one with both feet broken, one with paralyzed feet. Enki looked at the one with both feet broken, the one with paralyzed feet, and him for the work of, and the silversmith, and she fashioned one, a third one, born as an idiot. Enki looked at this one, the one born as an idiot, and decreed his fate. He appointed him as a servant of the king. Hello. So, anybody that's a servant of the king is an idiot. Or just some people that are servants of the king are idiots. Hello. Imagine all the other titles people have that would be labeled as an idiot. Fourth, she fashioned one who could not hold back his urine. Enki looked at the one who could not hold back his urine and bathed him in enchanted water and drove out the Namtar demon from his body. Nowadays, I guess you can go to a doctor and he'll give you something that will probably not help anyway and then cause you to have a stroke sooner because they love you so much and continue to eat your genetically modified foods, which are most likely part of the problem that cause the inflammation anyway. Fifth, she fashioned a woman who could not give birth. Enki looked at the woman who could not give birth and decreed her fate. He made her belong to the queen's household. Sixth, she fashioned one with neither penis nor vagina on its body. Enki looked at the one with neither penis nor vagina on its body and gave it the name Nibru Iunuk, and decreed as its fate to stand before the king. I wonder what it was doing in front of the king. Ninmah threw the pinched off clay from her hand on the ground, and a great silence fell. The great Lord Enki said to Ninmah, I have decreed the fates of your creatures and given them their daily bread. Come now, I will fashion somebody for you, and you must decree the fate of the newborn one. Enki devised a shape with head and mouth in its middle and said to Ninmah, pour ejaculated semen into a woman's womb, and the woman will give birth to the semen of her womb. Ninmah stood by for the newborn, and the woman brought forth in the midst. In return, this was a mule. Its head was afflicted, its place of was afflicted, its eyes were afflicted, its neck was afflicted. It could hardly breathe. Its ribs were shaky, its lungs were afflicted, its heart was afflicted, its bowels were afflicted. With its hand and its lolling head, it could not put bread into its mouth. Its spine and head were dislocated. The weak hips and the shaky feet could not carry it on the field. Enki fashioned it in this way. Reminds me of some of the genetically modified chickens now that people enjoy eating at their local fast food restaurant. Sometimes daily, sometimes more than once a day. Time out real quick on the chickens real quick. Haven't you noticed a difference in just the texture? If you go out and buy, and the size of a piece of white chicken meat, breast meat, tastes like plastic now. Last time I had some, I don't even need it anymore. Okay, let's go back. Save the Chickens Foundation. Send in your money to leakproject.com. No, I'm just joking. No, I mean, I guess I could start a foundation for the, like an organic Save the Chickens Foundation. All right, I'm divagating. All right, sorry. Let's go. Somebody said this time is valuable. Yes, your time is valuable. You could fast forward that 30 seconds. Enki said to Ninmah, for your creatures I have decreed a fate. I have given them their daily bread. Now you should decree a fate for my creature. Give him his daily bread too. Ninmah looked at Amul and turned to him. She went nearer to Amul, asked him questions, but he could not speak. She offered him bread to eat, but he could not reach out for it. He could not lie on. He could not. Standing up, he could not sit down, could not lie down. He could not a house. He could not eat bread. Ninmah answered Enki, the man you have fashioned is neither alive nor dead. He cannot support himself. Enki answered Ninmah, I decreed a fate for the first man with the weak hands. I gave him bread. I decreed a fate for the man who turned back the light. I gave him bread. I decreed a fate for the man who broken, paralyzed feet. I gave him bread. I decreed a fate for the man who could not hold back his urine. I gave him bread. I decreed a fate for the woman who could not give birth. I gave her bread. I decreed the fate for the one with neither penis nor vagina on its body. I gave it bread, my sister. Ninmah answered Enki. Ninmah's answer continues, you entered, look, you do not dwell in heaven, you do not dwell on earth, you do not come out to look at the land. Where you do not dwell, but where my house is built, your words cannot be heard. Where you do not live, but where my city is built. I myself am silenced, my city is ruined, my house is destroyed, my child has been taken captive. I am a fugitive who has had to leave the Kur. Even I myself could not escape from your hand. Now, if we go above that, where it says, I gave her bread, I decreed the fate for the one with neither penis nor vagina on its body, I gave it bread, my sister. Then there's two lines that are fragmentary, and then it goes, Ninmah answered Enki, and then there's 9 lines that are fragmentary. So there's some missing stuff there. And then it goes on to say, Ninmah's answer continues. So it's interesting. So is she referring to what was just created that didn't have life, that wasn't alive or dead, so they feel bad? So now she's saying, my city is ruined, my house is destroyed, my child has been taken captive, I am a fugitive who has had to leave the Kur, even I myself could not escape from your hand. What does that mean? They didn't do what they were supposed to do good enough. They didn't create the form of worker the way that they were supposed to. So they got punished by Anu and the council, the people above them? Is that what I am gathering here? And it's interesting how they were drinking before they started doing this. I wonder if that had something to do with it, or if they were just, just having a couple glasses of wine and they had very high tolerances, or I don't know. I very rarely drink. So, Enki replied to Ninmah, who could change the words that left your mouth? Remove a mule from your lap. Ninmah, may your work be, missing word, you, missing word, for me, what is imperfect? Who can oppose this? The man whom I shaped, some missing words, after you, missing words, let him pray. Today, let my penis be praised. May your wisdom be confirmed. May the Enkum and Ninkum proclaim your glory. Something missing. My sister, the heroic strength, something missing. The song, something missing. The writing, something missing. The gods who heard, something missing. Let Amul build my house, something missing. Ninmah could not rival the great Lord Enki. Father Enki, your praise is sweet. So, phallus worship. You'll find it all throughout Hollywood. I mean, even not the most recent Superman film, the one before, not Superman versus Batman, but the one before that came out in 2013. You'll see a bunch of ships blasting off from the Superman's home planet, and they're giant penises. Look it up. And it's all throughout, just look up. Don't look it up. No, never mind. Don't even go there. But you're going to find it all over the place. And you guys know that the obelisk is representation of the phallus. I mean, they've even got candies and stuff like that they market. It's just disgusting. But anyway, so I wonder if they get that from, now that makes more sense. Enki's penis, he says, I want it to be praised right here. And there you go. There's another connection. Phallus worship. You just look at the Amazon icon, the Amazon logo. I did a podcast on that once. It's crazy. So anyway, question everything. Make sure to support our sponsors, getthetea.com, if you're looking for really good detox supplements. I've got these D365 tabs that are awesome for detox. Also, there's this stuff called 8th Element. Very good for energy, in my opinion. I love it anyway. So, getthetea.com. Question everything. Be excellent to each other, you guys, and be the change you want to see.